Okay. So I'm just, that was such a great opening conversation. Thank you. And which just really contextualized what I'm doing in the School of Rehab Science, where I am, we've already done a land acknowledgement. So I'm Sandra Vanderkay, and I'm a professor in the SRS, as I said. And I just was going to talk a little bit today about the study that I'm doing around trauma-informed pedagogy. And I know I only have 15 minutes, so I'll be really quick. And I also want to say that I'm not a trauma expert. I am not a member of an equity-seeking group. I have no expertise in the area of trauma. All that I really am is an educator who is super invested in supporting learners. And like Dr. Chan previously mentioned, I know discussing trauma can be difficult, so I encourage anyone to engage in the self-care required. So I'm just gonna invite people to think about what the experience of teaching and learning was when we pivoted originally to online learning. Just thinking back to how that went for you. Really, my interest in trauma-informed pedagogy came from that when I was really, really concerned about our student occupational therapists' ability to learn. There was just so much pandemonium, a lot of anxiety, and just worried that there was very little learning happening. And then I started to think about, there must be more that I could do to support learning. I had no idea of this paradigm of trauma-informed pedagogy. I just started Googling supporting learners in COVID, any Google search terms I could think about. And this is when I came up with these documents at the following links, which were around trauma-informed pedagogy. And I started to listen to talks and learn a lot more about this approach to teaching and learning. So Dr. Chan, you gave a good definition of trauma. This is the APA definition, which is, any disturbing experience that results in fear, helplessness, dissociation, confusion, etc. And as you already indicated, it could be sort of an egregious trauma, but it could also be just, smaller experiences over the course of a long period of time. So through my just Google searching, etc., I realized the huge impact that trauma has on learning. I learned that trauma is more problematic at post-secondary levels. And I also learned that trauma more significantly impacts learners from equity-seeking groups people from equity-seeking groups or equity deserving or equity denied, whichever terminology you're most comfortable with. I happen to select equity seeking for this particular grant application, but we know from the research that learners from equity seeking groups are already at risk of poor outcomes in post-secondary settings. And then the idea of, experiencing trauma on top of that, particularly COVID-19 trauma, can further marginalize students from equity-seeking groups. But yeah, we've all been through a mass trauma with COVID-19. Other people are calling it collective trauma. And so for all of us, learning has become a burden rather than a fulfilling process that it's meant to be. Our workload has increased, mental health is deteriorating, there's a lot of disillusionment and despair. And so this is what our learners are coming to the classroom with. And this plays out as high absenteeism, difficulty focusing, severe anxiety, anger, helplessness, other things like this focus on marks, achievement, this is severe anxiety around, around doing well. And regrettably, as this quote indicates, the impact of trauma on learning in post-secondary institutions is largely ignored. So I'm just trying to do what I can in my little corner of the world to change this. So I applied for and was awarded an IDEAS grant from McPherson Institute. What the grant looks like is I'm in the process of conducting an integrative review where I am scoping the literature for strategies to address trauma in post-secondary classrooms. So our initial search, we had approximately 3,800 articles. There's exactly 50 articles that are included in the data analysis. And I'm doing that right now, is embarking on the analysis of the 50 articles that were ultimately included in our study. What I will do when I have, so I'm coding the data to look at strategies that I can implement at an individual instructor level, strategies that I can implement at a classroom level, and strategies that we can be implementing at a policy or organizational level. So I'm coding the articles for strategies at all three of those levels. And then what I'm going to do is come up with a plan and implement some of the strategies in my term 4 course, which is in September. So that's year 2 occupational therapy students. And then I'm going to conduct focus groups to look at how the students experienced this trauma-informed classroom. So I'm going to hopefully publish the integrative review and share my findings broadly through interactive learning opportunities, and definitely with the ultimate goal of creating more permanent knowledge translation products that can hopefully support trauma-informed approaches in other programs. And definitely looking long-term at advocating for policy and systemic change beyond my courses. So that's a very quick overview. I just wanted to make people aware that this kind of research is happening. Interested in any feedback that you have about it or any questions, and hoping definitely just to, as I said, just to move the needle slightly with respect to trauma-informed approaches in the classroom at the post-secondary level.
Okay, I think, does anyone have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just think this sounds, obviously I'm biased based on my presentation, but I'm very interested in the outcomes, especially seeing them applied in the healthcare field and what that classroom will look like, and hearing from the learners what it will be like and what will be different about it. So I'll definitely be following with active interest.
Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. I look forward to reading your published review when it comes out. So all the best of luck with your study.
Thanks, Vanessa. It's been very interesting so far. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for sharing it with us today.